This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Ash, Team Valor, and Truman. We pick up with the Tennysons in the middle of their most important mission yet, helping Ben flush the toilet, as due to a combination of age, battle damage, and possibly the integration of plumber tech, this has become a three-person job aboard the Rust Bucket, with Gwen having to turn the radio dials just right while Max honks the horn. Naturally, such an arduous process for such a simple task has Ben complaining, though shrugging this off as character, Max pays his grandson's griping no mind. However, before the boy can press the issue, something comes along to draw his attention, or rather, several somethings. First, a much more modern RV that tears past them on the narrow mountain road they now occupy, and second, a trio of heavily modified cars, which are evidently in hot pursuit of the RV. In their attempt to catch their prize, the road pirates show no hesitation in slamming into the Rust Bucket, almost sending it off the side of a cliff, but thanks to some ace driving from Max, he's able to avert calamity, and even give chase, while Ben grins that it looks like it's hero time. Unfortunately, it seems the Omnitrix has other ideas, as when he slams it down, instead of getting accelerate, he is transformed into Ripjaws, and considering they're in the middle of nowhere, the aquatic alien's utility is slim to none. Thankfully, Max, Gwen, and Kevin are here to pick up the slack, as when they draw near, Max employs some rather aggressive driving to run one of the criminals off the road, while Kevin coats his hand in steel, before shaping into a long blade, which can puncture another one of their tires from a distance. As for Gwen, in a testament to her growing magical prowess, she manifests a tornado that lifts the lead car into the air and sends it tumbling end over end, bringing this brief road battle to a decisive conclusion. However, this is not to say that it is a total victory, as in the process of fighting off the crooks, it seems the Rust Bucket has taken more than its fair share of dents and damage, with Max announcing they'll need to make a pit stop. Thankfully, there is a roadside diner and garage not too far down the road, with a sign boasting they have the best ice cream this side of the Rockies. As it is the middle of a desert, the idea of nice cold ice cream is enough to make Ben's mouth water, and now that he is human once again, there is nothing stopping him from stuffing his face, with the boy yelling for Kevin to get the lead out, otherwise he'll eat all the ice cream before the young Osmosian gets any. Though to the great shock of both Gwen and Max, Kevin declines, replying that if Max is going to be working on the Rust Bucket, he'll stick around out here. Shrugging to suit himself, and that she's going to get a soda since it must be 100 degrees, Gwen then heads into the diner, leaving just Max and Kevin, with the old man welcoming the company, as he asks if the boy wants to give him a hand. Looking a little startled as he just planned to watch, Kevin asks if Max is sure, though flashing an easy grin, the old ex-plumber nods that Kevin's a smart kid and that he trusts him, so if he wants to learn a thing or two about mechanics, he'd be happy to teach him. Broad smile now spreading across his own face, Kevin eagerly nods that yeah, that'd be awesome, as he squats low to watch as Max works, with Max in turn walking him through what he's doing, and even offering him a chance to try it. In turn, Kevin does his best, with it becoming clear almost immediately that he has a real talent for working with machines, something Max is quick to point out and praise. This means the world to the boy, who puts his powers to good use, turning his still metallic hand into wrenches, screwdrivers, and anything else he needs to be a walking toolkit. Thanks to this, the pair are able to make their repairs much more efficiently than in canon, while having a blast in the process. However, not everything is all smiles, as when they are just about finished, Kevin suddenly grows quiet, causing Max to ask what's wrong, and in a moment of vulnerability, the scruffy youth admits that this was the sort of stuff he always wished he could have done with his dad. Letting out a deep sigh, Max agrees that he wishes Kevin could have had more time with Devon as well, since he was a good partner and a dear friend, not to mention a whiz with machines just like Kevin. By now, Max is beginning to get a bit choked up, though taking a deep breath, he lays a hand on Kevin's shoulder, and in a voice that does not shake in the slightest, states that he knows if Devon were here, he'd be immensely proud of the young man Kevin has grown into, just like he is. For a time, neither speak, not needing to, instead just focusing on the easy rhythm of their work. Then, when they are finally done, Max claps Kevin on the back, suggesting they get some of that famous ice cream to celebrate. However, before they can, those crooks from before spring their trap, attempting to steal the Rust Bucket. Thanks to being done, Max does not start the fight at a disadvantageous position, meaning he can handle Turbine and her wrench, while Kevin yells for Ben and Gwen to get their butts out here and help. Eager to redeem himself, Ben is quick to jump into the fray as Ditto, dogpiling Road Rage, while Gwen and Kevin take out Barren Highway. As a result of their combined efforts, Team Tennyson are easily able to keep these three scumbags away from the Rust Bucket, though Gwen goes one step further, using a spell she found in her book, Discombobulus Meccano, which makes their vehicles fall apart when they attempt to flee, leaving them stranded at the truck stop. Subsequently, it is only a matter of time before the heroes knock these clowns out, with the proprietor being all too eager to hold them until the police arrive, since they've been a menace in these parts for years. To make the deal even sweeter, she then offers the group free Sundays for life, an offer everyone is happy to indulge in after the exertion of a fight under the desert sun. Following this is the episode Ready to Rumble. Like in canon, while attempting to use Gwen's laptop, Ben is met with a black screen and reaches the conclusion he must have broken it, with even Kevin agreeing he's really done it this time. However, while on their way back from dinner, Ben comes across an advertisement for underground wrestling with the prize being $10,000, more than enough to replace Gwen's computer. To this end, he suggests that he and Kevin sneak out and enter, since together there's no way they can lose, an offer the young Osmosian is quick to accept, with him going so far as to coat himself in stone for a gimmick when he sees they'll be fighting mutant crocodile and porcupine men. As for Ben, he relies on his old faithful in forearms, with a pair entering as a double act like rival wrestlers Porcupine and Gator Boy. Thanks to this, it is only a matter of time before the two tag teams make it to the finals, and since Ben alone was able to take these guys, Ben with his best friend watching his back is able to school them, meaning in no time flat, the two boys are $10,000 richer. However, this victory comes at a cost, as when exiting the venue, the pair discover that Porcupine and Gator Boy are in debt to a gangster named Mr. Beck, who has kidnapped their mother and plans to kill her as punishment for not getting his money. Naturally, as heroes, Ben and Kevin are quick to help, with the four fighters all teaming up to save Porcupine and Gator Boy's surprisingly human mother. Though this is not all they do, as seeing that these guys need it more, Ben also gives them the prize money, and while Kevin isn't thrilled to see so much cash go down the drain, he respects his friend's principles, and so only yells at him a little. Now with no way to replace Gwen's laptop, Ben and Kevin return to the Rust Bucket so that Ben can own up to what he did and ask for Gwen's forgiveness, only for Gwen to reveal that it isn't broken, and that she just had a security device put in to keep Ben from messing with it. Unsure whether to be relieved or furious, Ben questions how this is possible when Kevin the tech whiz assured him it was beyond repair, though shrugging casually, Kevin admits that he was just messing with Tennyson when he said that. He was going to tell him eventually, but then Ben had the idea to be wrestlers and he kinda got caught up in that and forgot, so he guesses that's his bad. Having settled on furious, Ben growls that Kevin's gonna pay for this, asking how he likes the sound of 4-knuckle sandwiches. Though grinning that they never got a chance to wrestle, Kevin tells him to bring it on. That is until Gwen orders them to take it outside, since if these doofuses start fighting in here, they're gonna wreck her laptop for real, and if that happens, they'll both owe her big time. Meanwhile, in another part of the country, 9 sinister figures gather in secret, waiting to hear the address of their leader. Finally, the Forever King appears, and as he greets his compatriots, it is with tidings of good news, that after all their hard work, it is time to put their plan into action, meaning that in 24 hours, the world will be under their control, and the meddlesome Team Tennyson will be no more. Speaking of Team Tennyson, as the new day dawns, so do they acquire a new member, a young boy named Cooper who is the grandson of an old plumber friend of Max's. As a result, the old man has agreed to bring him home from summer camp, stating he's sure Cooper will get on great with Ben, Gwen, and Kevin. Unfortunately, the Tennyson cousins don't exactly make the best first impression, bickering when Cooper and Max return to the Rust Bucket. Though thankfully, Kevin is there to act as a buffer, giving Cooper a laid-back greeting that puts the blonde boy at ease, especially when he learns that, like him, Kevin is an outsider who was welcomed into the group, with this proof that the Tennysons really do accept newcomers into their social circle, meaning he does not feel the need to lie about having a movie premiere ticket to win their favor. Instead, he chooses to mostly hang out with Kevin, opening up a little to the older boy when it comes to life. They both love technology, with Cooper even revealing his technopathy, which Kevin finds absolutely incredible, dubbing Cooper his little buddy, and in turn showing off his powers. Wanting to get in on this burgeoning friendship, Gwen and Ben also reveal their abilities, with Gwen asking Cooper if his powers come from magic, alien ancestry, or something else like the Omnitrix, but here the blonde cannot help, as he reveals that he doesn't know. He's just always had this gift, though sometimes he thinks of it as more of a curse, since he gets really tired when he uses it. All the same, the kids think his abilities are really cool, though before they can bond further, Max calls them up to the front with bad news, as on the central console is displayed video footage of the circus freaks and Sublimino robbing Fort Knox. Apologizing to Cooper that they might be a little late in getting him home, Max then changes course, with them heading to Fort Knox instead. Stepping inside, the team find the place seemingly deserted. That is until they come across the guards, some of whom are hostile, while others act like chickens, with it being clear that all of them are under Sublimino's hypnosis. This forces the heroes to take care when fighting them, since they don't want to hurt innocent people, but luckily, by using Accelerate, Ben is able to knock out the attackers while also saving the chicken guards, meaning disaster is averted. Or at least, they think so, until Cooper points out a large hole burned in the wall leading to an old plumber base hidden within the gold repository. This understandably troubles Max, Max, as neither the freaks nor Subliminal should have known about this base. To make matters worse, he doesn't know why they'd care, as a cursory scan suggests they haven't stolen anything of value. To this end, once they're back in the rust bucket, Max pulls up a holographic map of hidden plumber bases, clearly deep in thought, though it seems he will not get a chance to solve this riddle, as when the icon for the Seattle Space Needle lights up, it becomes obvious that this is where they need to go next. Fortunately, on top of being a technopath, Cooper is also a certifiable genius, meaning that with his two gifts combined, he's able to design, create, and attach turbo boosters to the rust bucket that allowed them to cross the over 2,000 miles from Kentucky to Seattle in only a few hours. During this drive, Max is deadly quiet, with Ben, Gwen, and Kevin all worrying this will be another sort of Actua situation, though this isn't all they have to worry about, as when they arrive at the Space Needle, they're confronted by another familiar face, Clancy. However, where once he was simply suffering from mental illness and social disaffection, now he is more insect than man, having become mindless and animalistic, with Kevin in particular feeling deeply upset at the sight of him, as it is not hard to imagine that he might have become something similar if the Tennysons hadn't helped him stop absorbing energy and clean up his act. As a result, when a fight breaks out, he decides to stay behind and subdue Clancy, leaving Ben, Gwen, Max, and Cooper free to head inside and do whatever it is they're here to do. Though it seems the Bugman is not to be their only blast from the past, as waiting for them inside a Charmcaster, who immediately engages Gwen in a magic duel, and the final member of this group who had been recruited from the Null Void, that being Phil, who leers at Max that it's been a while. Feeling responsible for his ex-partner, as well as wanting to make sure Gwen is okay, Max elects to hang back as well, while ordering Ben and Cooper to keep going, since they need to figure out why their enemies are suddenly interested in the plumbers. Not wanting to let his grandpa down, Ben hastily thrusts Cooper into an elevator, with the pair making their way up to the top of the Space Needle, where almost predictably at this point, another old foe is waiting for them, this time Dr. Animo, accompanied by a mutant bat. Not wanting to risk his new friend being hurt, Ben urges Cooper to stay back while he fights this quack, transforming into Diamond Head and blasting Animo with crystal projectiles. Unfortunately, this is perhaps the worst choice he could have made, as by using its sonic screech, Animo's bat is able to immobilize Ben with its high frequency, almost shattering his rocky skin. To make matters worse, having recognized Cooper as a helpless civilian, Animo begins to target him, forcing Ben to shield the other boy, splitting his attention and allowing the Doctor to defeat him, with the young brunette soon finding himself back in his human form, while a gloating Animo jeers that he has been waiting for a chance to be rid of him for a long time. However, before the madman can land the lethal blow, Cooper cries out, asking what Animo wants, since it's pretty clear the bad guys are looking for something, while suggesting that with his powers he could probably find it much faster, but he'll only do it if the Doctor promises to stop hurting Ben and his other friends. Smirking crookedly, Animo agrees to these terms, backing away from Ben and informing him that he's looking for a mechanical key of sorts. Closing his eyes, Cooper quickly interfaces with all the technology hidden here, with it taking very little time to locate Animo's key, with him pointing to a wall panel and stating that it's hidden behind there. To the Doc's surprise, Cooper is telling the truth, and so holding his prize aloft, he bellows down to his allies that it's time to go. As promised, the assembled villains then depart, with Charmcaster joining Animo and his bat, while Phil is uncomfortably carried into the air by Clancy, leaving the heroes to despondently regroup. However, it is not all bad, as when Cooper reveals to Max what Animo was looking for, the old man is able to conclude that the villains must be attempting to steal the sub-energy, and that if the other key was hidden in Fort Knox, then it's a race against time to make sure they reach Mount Rushmore before their enemies do. Taking off at top speed, Team Tennyson once more soar across the country, though even with Cooper's turbo boosters, they are already too late, as when they arrive, it is to the side of Animo, Charmcaster, Clancy, Phil, Sublimino, the Circus Freaks, and the Red Knight all waiting for them, while at their head stands none other than the Forever King, who introduces his alliance as the -10. At once, the -10 then descend upon the rust bucket, wanting to do away with the only people who could stand in the way of their goals. But thankfully, here the old RV's security system comes to the rescue, holding the villains off long enough for the team to sneak away. As a result, the battle changes from a group assault to more individual skirmishes, with one cannon clash thankfully being prevented, that being Sublimino and Cooper, since thanks to having Kevin by his side, the young technopath is never cornered and hypnotized to be their sleeper agent. Instead, he uses his powers for good, leading Max and Gwen down through a secret chute into the Mount Rushmore base, while Ben's forearms and Kevin fight off the majority of the -10 together, in a true testament to how far they've come as battle partners. Once inside, Max and Cooper use plumber security to back the boys up, while Gwen sends an explosion up through the chute, allowing Ben and Kevin to retreat just as Ben times out, with this also collapsing the only known entrance, meaning for now, it seems the heroes are safe. However, Max is not willing to believe they are out of the woods just yet, as having recognized the Forever King's voice during his introduction, he quickly pulls up the records of a disgraced ex-plumber named Driscoll, and upon playing his voice file, there is no doubt that he and the King are one and the same. This is very bad news, as if the king knows all the secrets of this base, then he will find another way in, meaning they cannot even rely on a siege to buy time, and so must get to where the sub-energy is being stored as fast as possible. Good to his word, it takes only a few minutes for the -10 to breach the base and give chase, following the heroes all the way into the sub-energy containment room. Here another battle breaks out, with Kevin this time fighting the Red Knight by absorbing its armor and sculpting his own hands into swords so they may have a sword fight, while Gwen once more faces off against Charmcaster. Thanks to being prepared this time, she's able to hold the older sorceress in a stalemate due to a keystone power boost, freeing Max up to fight Thumbskull, with the rest falling to Ben, who attempts to hold them off as Gax, though due to having made a few transformations today already, he times out rather fast. This leaves Driscoll free to claim the sub-energy, and so placing in the twin keys, he lowers the containment field, all the while sneering that ultimate power is within his grasp at long last. However, before he can reach out to take his prize, a blade crosses his path, and looking back, Driscoll is shocked to see his most loyal subordinate, the Red Knight, having betrayed him. Though, perhaps betrayed is the wrong word, as having taken a leaf out of Sublimino's book, Cooper has seized control of the robotic knight, thanks to not needing to be knocked out earlier like he was in canon, with this at last giving him a means to join the fray alongside his friends. And so it is that King and Knight begin to duel, with Cooper having a surprisingly easy time holding Driscoll at bay due to all the hours he's logged on Nations of Conquest as a fighter. Unfortunately, even with their foe now temporarily thwarted, the sub-energy has been released from its containment unit, with it immediately becoming apparent why such security was necessary, as massive waves of energy begin rippling through the room. Putting their grievances aside, both Max and Phil urge anyone listening to reactivate the force field, since this thing is more powerful than the sun, and it'll go supernova and wipe all of North America off the map if they don't do something. However, when Kevin and Gwen attempt to turn the keys back, they find them locked in position, likely a result of the sub-energy frying all the machinery, forcing Kevin to suggest a radical plan. He'll absorb the sub-energy, since even if it kills him or does irreparable damage to his psyche, that's better than the alternative. At once, Team Tennyson all cry out in protest, with no one's cries being louder than Ben's. Though seeing that Kevin will not listen, he instead looks down at the Omnitrix and begs it for a way to save his best friend. As if in response, the red lights of the watch all turn green, though this is not the only change, as an unfamiliar silhouette with long floppy ears appears on the dial. Whether this is due to his request, or the Omnitrix failsafes activating to protect him from all the excess energy, Ben doesn't know. Though putting his whole trust in the device, he slams it down and begins to transform. Almost instantly, Ben can tell that something about this form is different, as it feels better. No, he feels better than he has as any other alien, and when he rises to his feet, that sense of elation only grows, as he realizes that what he thought were ears are actually electrical plugs. In fact, from the looks of things, this guy is covered in plugs, meaning he's some sort of energy alien, and if so, maybe he can deal with the sub-energy. Reaching out both hands, Ben suddenly feels the power of the sub-energy being drawn into his finger sockets, with heroes and villains alike watching in awe as the orb of pure energy is consumed, until nothing remains but Ben. Or rather, nothing but Ben and a sense of overwhelming power, as feeling the sub-energy now buzzing inside him, the young conductoid decides to take it for a spin, aiming his fingers and head tendrils at the bad guys, and opening fire as a dozen bolts of pure electricity come shooting out to strike them and blow them all away. It is a decisive victory, and as Ben reverts to his human form, he grins that it looks like he has a new favorite alien, proudly naming it Feedback. In the aftermath of this, the -10 are nowhere to be seen, and while Max and Gwen both find this more than a little troubling, Ben is still too euphoric from his victory to care, though unluckily for him, that euphoria can't last forever, as after Cooper is finally dropped off at his grandpa's place, Max makes a declaration that Ben has been dreading since the road trip began, that summer vacation is over, so it's time to head back to Bellwood. While Gwen is somewhat sad to see their adventures end, she is also excited to see her parents again after 3 months, though the same cannot be said for Ben and Kevin, both of whom are so despondent that not even Gwen offering to play sumo slammers with them is enough to lift their spirits. Thankfully, by the time they finally arrive back in Bellwood, Ben has somewhat gotten over his melancholy. A fortunate fact is the first stop is his house, with the young brunette saying goodbye to everyone, before reluctantly admitting to Gwen that he's glad she came along, and giving Kevin his home phone number so they can hang out again soon, with the two best friends fist bumping before Ben heads inside. Following this, the rust bucket pulls in at Gwen's place, with Kevin telling her not to study too hard now she's hitting the books again, though with a tender smile, Gwen suggests that maybe he should try studying, since he's smarter than he thinks, with this making Kevin blush as the girl runs up the footpath towards her parents. Finally, it's just Max and Kevin, with Kevin suggesting if Max drops him at the bus stop, he can head back to New York, saying it's been real, though Max has another idea, saying that while it's hard, he owes it to himself to do this. Brow furrowing, Kevin replies that he's not sure he has it in him, Though looking him firmly in the eye, the old man states that it's what his dad would have wanted, with this at last forcing Kevin to relent as Max pulls up outside another suburban house. Still holding the boy's gaze, Max offers to come with him if it will help, though shaking his head, the scruffy youth replies this is something he needs to do on his own, though for what it's worth, he's grateful for everything the old time has done for him. Then, without another word, he exits the RV and steps up to the front door, before knocking once. It only takes a moment for a dark-haired woman to answer, though when she sees who it is, she falls silent, giving Kevin a chance to awkwardly mumble out 2 words. "Hey, Mom." And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.